Welcome back to part two. I talked a lot about bonds and what they are in the video right there, so watch that if you haven't yet. And in this part, we'll talk about how to cash out bonds early and other considerations and benefits that we didn't touch on in part one. So again, bonds are basically government debt, but you can be the lender and get interest payments paid to you, which would be better than having your money sit with very little interest in a checking or savings account. And it's backed by the US government, so there's almost no risk of default. So let's get into the different types of US Treasuries. So T-bills are short-term debt securities issued by the US government for 1 year or less, and they're sold at a discount to face value. Treasury notes, which are medium-term debt securities, mature in 2 to 10 years and pay interest, also known as coupon payments, every 6 months, and they're sold at face value. Treasury bonds are long-term debt securities. They mature in 20 to 30 years and pay interest every 6 months and are also sold at face value. So only the T-bills have a discount, the rest have actual interest payments. Just as a note, I have been using the general term bonds to mean any type of United States Treasury security, also known as Treasuries for short, rather than distinguishing between the three different types. But do just know that there are different types of treasuries. Also, a bond can technically be from any entity, but I'm specifically referring to US Treasuries in this video because of their safety. So I just want to clear any misunderstanding from my general use of the term bonds here. And typically, the longer your money is locked up for, the higher risk you have, even though this is basically risk-free anyway, and you'll get a higher interest rate because of that. Which, if you're interested, you can see this 10-year minus 3-month spread of US Treasury rates. And you can see that when there's an inversion, when the longer term securities have lower interest rates than the 3-month securities, even though they are for a lower duration, that can signal recession or bad economic times to come. For example, you can see that there was an inversion here and a recession. There was an inversion here and a recession. There was an inversion and a recession, and you can see the pattern. So when the 10-year Treasury yields are lower than the 3-month Treasury yields, that can signal a recession. That's just some knowledge for you to understand. And the way that these rates are determined are at auction. So banks and institutional investors, people with loads of money, basically battle it out and say, hey, I will give you my money if you pay me this interest rate. And then another bank will say, no, I'll pay you this much money. So they just battle it out, and whoever wins is basically how the interest rate is determined. Another component is the Federal Reserve. So the Federal Reserve System is the central banking system of the United States, and they have meetings and discussions and research and everything. And depending on how economic conditions are, they will change the interest rate to reflect that. And they have meetings a few times a year where they set the interest rate. Sometimes it doesn't change, sometimes they change it. Recently, they've been increasing interest rates in order to slow down inflation. The theory is that if interest rates are higher, the cost of borrowing is more expensive, so less people will spend money, meaning inflation should go down because less people are spending and inputting money into the system, the financial system that we have. So with those rate hikes, you get higher interest rates on bonds. Also, some savings accounts have boosted their interest rates as well. But you want to get all the profit yourself rather than sharing it with the bank, so you're just going to buy treasury bills yourself and reap the profits. So if you have money in a checking account, you should still keep some money in your checking account to pay for daily expenses and such. But you can invest in a 4-week treasury bill or an 8-week treasury bill or a 32-week one, or however long you think you will want to invest your money so that you can get a better interest rate. And then you can change it month to month, however you feel. Some other benefits that I want to touch on is that US Treasuries are still backed by the US government. Right now, if banks go bankrupt, the US government will pay you back $250,000 that you put into the bank. But with US Treasuries, you can buy millions and millions of dollars worth of US Treasuries and still be protected by the US government. There's also no state and local taxes. You only have to pay federal tax, which can save you a lot of money on high income tax states. For example, this is a tax equivalent yield calculator that I put in the description below. If you click there, you can see, for example, let's say a 4-week Treasury bill pays 4.568%. So I just put that there. And then the state tax, let's say, is like 13%. Well, let's say you're in the highest income tax bracket because you're making a lot of money. Well, you have to pay 37% federal income tax. So that reduces your 4.57% to 2.88%. Then you have to pay state income tax, which reduces it further to 2.27% effective yield. But if you didn't have to pay state income tax, which you don't for US Treasuries, you will keep that 0.6% profit. And then if you want to do the math the other way around, instead of having to get a 9.19% interest rate for a 4.57% profit, with the state income tax avoided, you only need 7.25% in order to get 4.57%. Moreover, if you had like a Roth IRA or 401k or something, you could use the tax advantages within those accounts and buy Treasury bills there as well if you want. You can also sell T-bills and other US Treasuries on the secondary market. So what that means for you is that you don't have to wait until maturity. You can always cash it out early. You just won't get all of the interest that you were owed. T-bills are highly liquid, meaning that there are a lot of buyers and sellers, so you can easily cash it out. But you can't do this on treasurydirect.gov. You have to do it in a brokerage account. One of the ones that I like using is swab.com. So if you're on your summary page, you can like look at your fixed income positions. And this one, the US Treasury bill here, if you click on it, we see that it matures on March 21st, 2023. But let's say you need the cash now, so you can just sell it for money and not have to wait until maturity. So just click here, trade. So we look at the minimums and we can see that my quantity is 1 because remember it's $1,000 increments, but I just have 1. So the minimum is 1. So I can't sell it for these, but since I have 1 of them, I can sell it for 1 at 99.463. So if we look back at the cost basis, I can see that I bought it for $987.46. So I can sell it for 99.463. I'm going to multiply that by 10 so I can get it to the 987 number about, and then subtract 987.46 and push enter, and I can see I made $7.17 by selling it early. So I still get some interest, just not as much if I sell it early. So you can still get access to your cash even before the maturity date. So as we can see, instead of giving your money to banks to get a very, very low interest rate, you can do it yourself and get better interest rates by letting the US government borrow your money, just like how banks make money anyway. Again, all the timestamps and links and resources are in the description below, so click them and let me know what you think about this video, or if you want me to do another one like this. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment below. Have a wonderful day.